Hello ATV football fans, I'm Liam Thorpe.
And I'm Michael Mambo.
And this is Team Talk. Hello ATV football fans, welcome to Team Talk. Today we round up on all the action that's been going on in the African Cup of Nations. We now have our quarter-final matches set out and ready. They will be going over this weekend. So, first of all, let's have a look at the action that's happened since we last spoke to you. First off, we're going to start with Group C, with the final round of games, all the action and reaction, which left us with our quarter-finalists. Ethiopia were knocked out of the African Cup of Nations on Tuesday night after a promising start to the tournament.
Game is, but our guys play well, so our chance we are lose. We're gonna try next time.
Nigeria, on the other hand, advanced through to the knockout stage, their form improving with every game.
Then both sides, the defense were a little bit porous, but otherwise it was a very good game, good environment, good field, good fans. I mean, everybody was happy. I mean, it's good.
The Super Eagles had very little to show for their 13 first-half goal attempts, but Ethiopia were even less inspiring and barely troubled the Nigeria goalkeeper.
I mean, if Salah scored with that header and it could have been 1-1, it could have totally changed the game. But then also we started, once they scored the PK, and then we started, keep going, and they all of a sudden they got a counter-attack, and we conceded a second PK, and a 2-0, and then it was just waiting the game to be finished, to be honest.
You cannot say we were struggling when we played against 11 players behind the ball. Even Barcelona will struggle. That's how Chelsea won the Champions League. They couldn't do a thing with 11 players behind the ball. That's what they did today.
Two late Victor Moses penalties at the Royal Bafokeng Stadium in Rustenburg gave Nigeria a 2-0 win over Ethiopia and set up a tantalising quarter-final match against Ivory Coast on Sunday. The defeat now means that Ethiopia finished bottom of the group and have exited the tournament along with former champion Zambia, who drew 0-0 with Burkina Faso. But what about Group D? Ivory Coast were already through, Algeria were already out. So it was left to Togo and Tunisia to battle it out to join the Côte d'Ivoire in the quarter-finals. Here's a look at what happened in the closing stages of Group D. Togo drew 1-1 with Tunisia at Mombabela Stadium in Nelspruit on Wednesday night to qualify for the quarter-finals of the Africa Cup of Nations for the first time in their history. A tired-looking Didier Six, the Togo manager, reflected on the achievement of his side.
It was a difficult group because we was a little team in this group, and now we finish second in this group. I think it's the first time. It's the first time for the Togo, and now I must prepare the quarter final, and I can't say no more because it was difficult when I was in Durban with a CAF for the group. When I think the three teams, Tunisia, Algeria, and Côte d'Ivoire, I say we have 3 points, 3 points against Togo. Now we are second. I am very happy for the player.
Togo and Tunisia finished tied in Group D, both with 4 points, and 3 behind group winners Ivory Coast, with Togo taking second place on goal difference. The top 2 teams in each of the 4 groups advanced to the quarter-final round in South Africa. Togo will now meet Burkina Faso in Sunday's quarter-final at the same stadium. Tunisia's exit means that no North African team has made it to the last 8 of the Nations Cup for the first time since 1992. So there you have it. Group stages done and dusted, and we have our quarter-final matchups. Here to discuss what could be a fantastic, entertaining weekend of football is my colleague Michael Mambo. So Mike, you've enjoyed the tournament so far, but there's some pretty tasty games coming up in the quarter-finals. Is Ivory Coast v Nigeria tickling your fancy?
Yeah, it's actually the one I was going to mention. I'm tipping Ivory Coast to win this one.
But Nigeria, they've been slow starters, but they've been grinding out results. What kind of match do you expect between these two?
Well, I expect it to be entertaining with Nigeria trying to grind out a result, but Ivory Coast have got too much talent in them.
Okay. Other quarterfinals include Ghana versus the very impressive, the surprise package, if you will, Cape Verde. How do you see that one going?
Again, I tip Ghana to progress. Cape Verde have played really well, but it will come down to the quality of the players, and Ghana seem to have a notch up.
They did. They seemed to turn the screw in that last group game. Could you see them making it all the way to the final?
They will make it all the way to the final, and my fingers crossed. Hopefully, it will be Ivory Coast Ghana final.
That would be an action-packed final. But what about the hosts, South Africa, who scraped through by the skin of their teeth to the quarterfinals, take on Mali, who you tipped to do quite well. How do you see that one going?
Well, it's always nice if the host could go through from this stage, but Mali seem to be in a stronger position than South Africa.
So you think they'll edge it?
Yeah, I think they'll edge it 2-1.
Okay, and we saw from the last package there that Togo progressed to the quarterfinals for the first time in their history. They probably got what they were hoping for, this easier draw for them, although Burkina Faso have looked good. They avoided some of the bigger sides. Can they get past this stage? I mean, anything's possible, right?
Yeah, at this stage anything's possible, but Togo will win.
Togo will win.
Yeah.
Okay, strong words. And how much will that come down to the performance of their talisman, Adebayor?
It won't make a big difference because most of his teammates have been playing well, better than him, in fact.
But it's a boost to have him up front. You might score a goal or two.
Yeah, it is a boost if the opposition is scared of the name Adebayor.
Yeah, so it could be a psychological factor.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, those games fall on Saturday and Sunday this weekend. You've got Ghana, Cape Verde, and South Africa versus Mali on the Saturday, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and Burkina Faso on Sunday. And of course, if you can't get to see the games, keep looking on our ATV Facebook page, where we will be updating you with all the scores, all the reaction, and Mr. Jelani will be there at his desk, and you won't miss a thing. Okay, well, we're going to move away from the African Cup of Nations because there is other football going on at the moment in the world, and there was some midweek Premier League action for us to mull over. Here's a look at what happened in this week's Premier League.
It's your boy Mufiwa. Regativa tipe. Na Jesu tijavanyadzisa. Alo acho tisu. Tisu pana watozeza. Kana tina Jesu vajivanisa tisu. Tisu atitadoreka. Shedi amatobeja. Alo acho tisu. Tisu anu acho tisu. Tisu anu acho tisu. Tisu anu acho tisu.
Ndadzoka ndakora gore rino zvakadzora mupresha nemaheres kwanomakwa ndiane bhora imagine kesha kunditsvaga ungati kuziva ane bhora maiphone yakuziva ndisaka kuramba kujusa dhora malife yakawanda kunge socks remusoja but najesu ndapachena unge reflector rempurisa zvaari ndozvatiri iso awi gore rino tavharisa taprofita tazadzisa leres cars esemapima lamborghini nemabenz unongoona nemastickers.
Aiwa tisu anu
It's either iPhone, iPad, get a laptop, trim, check, condoka, but berandinaro.
Aiwa tisu anu aji.
Yeah, no, now I'm wearing a marry, my celebrity move my bank, spending thousands, maybe millions.
Aiwa tisu anu aji.
Either Gucci, Armani, Salvatore, Ferragamo, my only headache is to choose.
Aiwa tisu anu aji.
Anu acho tisu. Tisu pana watozeza. Kana tina Jesu vajivanisa tisu. Tisu atitadoreka. Shedi amatobeja. Anu acho tisu. Tisu anu acho tisu. Tisu anu acho tisu. Tisu anu acho tisu.
Quake Bones, stop the beat, son.
ndichitora mufaro washe ndosiya urwere hwangu ndosiya nyadzi dzangu ndosiya ndichitora mufaro washe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Andinokumaga. Yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Andinokumaga. Yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Amen. I'm trading my sorrows. I'm trading my shame. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness. I'm trading my pain. I'm laying it down for the joy of the Lord. And you know, Kumaga. Oh, and you know, Kumaga. And you know, Kumaga. Oh, amen. Oh, and you know, Kumaga. And you know, we will agree on some things. If Jesus said victory is yours, you say. If Jesus says healing is yours, you say.
You make some really interesting results there. We should probably start with the heavyweight clash, just because it involves your favourite Arsenal. And 2-2 against Liverpool is an interesting game, wasn't it?
It was interesting. I wouldn't call it heavyweight. I mean, it's Arsenal and Liverpool.
Former heavyweights.
Yeah, more like bantamweight. Yeah, it was quite an interesting match. Again, a match of two halves. One where Liverpool dominated the first half, and the other half was all about Arsenal.
There's a lot of people saying that the Arsenal defence was looking a bit shaky again. You've signed a left back called Nacho from Malaga in Spain. Is he what you need, or do you need some more in the centre of defence?
I was hoping he would more or less like get somebody for the center of defense, but his reason for getting Nacho was that Gibbs had been injured, but Diaby has been injured all season. I wonder why he didn't get somebody to fill in that slot.
Okay, another sort of headline from the week's action was United just doing enough, as they seem to have done a lot this season, to restore their 7-point lead at the top of the table. Is that the kind of game that they need to grind out, that champions do win?
It's the game that champions do win, because more or less likely they're going to drop points, and City are going to win a few more matches as well. So it will be like those type of matches where you expect United to win and where you expect City to win, but they draw.
But a word for Southampton's performance, because Alex Ferguson said it's been the best performance of any team at Old Trafford this season.
Well, he was just saying that probably he's forgotten about Tottenham beating them.
Yeah, that's true. I think he might have slipped his mind of that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that was midweek. What about this weekend? We picked out some of our interesting fixtures. Newcastle, who of course you saw there, got a much needed victory against Villa. Well, it doesn't get easier for them because they entertain Chelsea at home. And we saw it there that Chelsea let a 2-goal lead slip against Reading. They can't keep doing that. For them at Newcastle, how do you see that game going?
It's going to be a fairly hard match, but my money is on Chelsea winning.
Okay. Then we've got Fulham hosting Manchester United. These two teams met in the FA Cup just last week, and United won 4-1. I presume it's going to be a bit harder going to Craven Cottage.
It's going to be harder, but United always grind out results, and this is one of them that they're going to win.
And not a masterstroke for former United player Berbatov?
No, he'll probably try and do his best just to upset the odds, but United have got too much firepower. Rooney is back and scored the previous match, so he's going to be raring to go. Okay,
Arsenal, with their new Nacho at left back, they welcome Stoke to the Emirates. Stoke are a different sort of being away from home, aren't they? And surely this is a 3-pointer for Arsenal.
It's going to be a 3 points for Arsenal, but I had hoped they would have signed a macho, not a natural player.
Oh, he's been working on that one all week. A macho, not a nacho. You heard it here first.
Yeah,
brilliant.
But they will win. Probably 2 goals to 1 or something like that.
Okay. Now, ever since Michael Mambo received a complaint that we don't focus on Tottenham Hotspur enough, we always try and include them. They travel to West Bromwich Albion. Not an easy game for them. How do you see that one going?
It's not an easy game for them. They seem to have hit a rough patch at the moment, but still they have enough quality to pull a victory out of that one.
They've got new signing Lewis Holtby, the German, but it's Gareth Bale that seems to be dragging them out of problems. He got the equaliser against Norwich. How much are they relying on him now?
Heavily. If he gets injured, they'll be in big trouble.
Okay, and there always seems to be a heavyweight clash. This actually is a heavyweight clash. Although it still involves Liverpool, but they travel to Man City. Liverpool, they've been in a bit of decent form. Can they trouble the champions in their own backyard?
No.
Simply put.
No. Well, simply with Liverpool's defence is a bit on the older side, and with Man City pulling strings left, right and centre, they're going to have a tough time coping. The way they defeated Arsenal is because Arsenal's defence was bad. In fact, not bad, poor.
Yeah. Okay, well, that'd be an interesting one to see who triumphs in the South American battle of Aguero and Tevez versus Luis Suarez at the other end. The big news, as we come to the end of January, is that the transfer window has slammed shut. And it wasn't the most exciting transfer window that we've seen in previous seasons, but as ever, there was some toing and froing on the last day. And here we sum it all up for what happened in the January transfer window. The January transfer window got off to a slow start, as is so often the way. The headline makers in the early stages of the month included England striker Daniel Sturridge, who completed a £12 million switch from Chelsea to Liverpool, where he is expected to form a deadly partnership with the in-form Luis Suarez. There was a move too for Joe Cole. The former Chelsea and England star completed a free transfer from Liverpool to West Ham, the club where he started his footballing career. One of the bargains of the window arrived when European champions Chelsea snapped up Newcastle star Demba Ba. The Blues triggered a release clause in the Senegalese player's contract that saw him leave for a very reasonable £7 million. Another big-name striker on the move was the highly rated Loic Remy. Apparently Marseille had received a lot of interest for the French international, but Premier League strugglers QPR sealed the deal with an £8 million fee. There have been rumours about Dutch playmaker Wesley Sneijder leaving Inter Milan for years now, but few would have expected the former Ajax man to switch to Turkish side Galatasaray. But he has done just that, the Turks capturing their man for around £8.4 million. Alex Ferguson, the Manchester United manager, had said he wouldn't be making any signings in January, but he had one trick up his sleeve, as he usually does, landing the promising English winger Wilfried Zaha from Crystal Palace for a fee that could rise to £15 million in add-ons. The deal also sees Zaha spend the rest of the season on loan at Crystal Palace. Another bargain buy was for Spurs, with the £1.5 million purchase of German youngster Lewis Holtby. He arrived from Schalke. Liverpool added to their purchase of Daniel Sturridge with the £8 million signing of the 22-year-old Philippe Coutinho from Inter Milan. Martin Jol strengthened his Fulham side with the signing of AC Milan's Dutch player Urbi Emanuelson. The left-sided midfielder arrived at Craven Cottage on loan. Now, Didier Drogba is one of the most famous African players of all time, and last year he left Chelsea to sign a 2.5-year deal with Chinese side Shanghai Shenhua. So, the Chinese side themselves were not too happy when during this window, Turkish club Galatasaray announced that the Ivorian would be joining them immediately after the African Cup of Nations. Shanghai Shenhua have said they are prepared to appeal to FIFA on this issue. Perhaps the biggest story of this transfer window also brought around the biggest fee. The controversial character that is Italian striker Mario Balotelli ended his turbulent tenure at Manchester City by signing for AC Milan in a £19 million deal. Balotelli is thought to be a boyhood Milan fan. But if there was one man to trump Balotelli, it would have to be David Beckham. The former England captain is a football icon, and he delighted Paris Saint-Germain's Qatari owners by signing with them on a 5-month deal. Beckham announced that his entire salary for the period will be donated to a children's charity in Paris. Okay, Mike, as I say, they're not the most exciting transfer window, but some big stories coming in at the end. I've got to ask you about David Beckham. Paris Saint-Germain, did you see that one coming?
I didn't see it coming. I thought he had gone to Arsenal for some fitness and it would take probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks whilst he chooses a team. But fortunately, after just one session, he's with PSG.
He's back. And how much of this is just a marketing ploy, or can he actually offer them something on the pitch at 37 years of age?
Well, at 37 years of age, that remains to be seen. If all he's going to be doing is crossing for Ibrahimovic, then definitely he still can play a role in that. But if he's going to be tracking back and chasing after these younger boys, it's going to be a pretty tough 5 months for him. Although
some person who's not going to be a tricky 5 months for is the children's charity in Paris that he's donated all of his wages to. A very nice gesture.
Yeah, it's an excellent gesture. if all the footballers could do what he's done.
Yeah, it'd be great. One person who's been known for making a few gestures, not particularly generous gestures, is Mario Balotelli. We'd heard rumours that he was going to be on his way out. He's finally left the Premier League. Is the Premier League worse or better off for not having Balotelli?
Personally, I think it's worse off because you need these characters to keep football entertaining, to keep football on the front of everyone's minds. If you look at other sports like boxing, each time they have this larger-than-life character, but now that they don't have such a character, the whole sport tends to go down.
I think for journalists like us, it's definitely a bad thing that Balotelli's left. He provided us with some fantastic stories, but there was one final fantastic story from the transfer window, which actually involved Nigerian striker Peter Odunwingie, who me and Mike were laughing about this one earlier. He, of course, plays for West Brom, and QPR had made it clear they wanted to buy him, and he wanted to go there. So he turned up at QPR in the car park, and then was told that the deal had fallen through, and he sort of just waited around in his car park. And so now he remains a West Brom player, but that's going to be an awkward training ground, isn't it?
It's going to be very, very awkward. I don't know, something must have gone wrong terribly between him, West Brom, and QPR.
What happens now, though? Can he feasibly just pick himself up and get back in the team, or surely, because West Brom aren't going to want to have a player sulking on the sidelines on the big wages, are they?
No, he's going to have to do that. He's going to have to pick himself up. Maybe they'll give him a few days off, which they have done, just for the dust to settle. They need him in the squad. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the transfer window. All that's out the way. We can focus on the football now. We will be back on Monday to discuss the Premier League fixtures that we told you about, and of course those vital African Cup of Nations quarter-final matches. Stay tuned to our Facebook page for updates, and we'll see you on Monday.